Peyton Manning style. Manning style. We needed a QB. It was long overdue. Thanks to John Elway, now we have you. Sacrificed a virgin, but it's okay. A living legend, a great team, and this is how we play.
Manning's got him lined up. Back McGahee. Give it to Willis. Going off a right guard. He's in this time. Touchdown, Denver. Manning takes in the shotgun. Got a man wide open in the end zone in the near corner. Decker. He swings it with the left hand. Touchdown, Denver.
Give us a reason. This is our season. Cut that means hey. Cut that means hey. Give us a reason. This is our season. Cut that means hey. Cut that means hey.
McGahee. Manning takes back up. Throws left square out. Left caught. Near pylon. Touchdown. Demaryius Thomas.
Peyton Manning style. Manning style. Hey, 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 Manning style. Hey, 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 Manning style. Hey, 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 Manning style. Hey, hey, Manning. Hey, 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 Manning style. Hey, hey, Manning. Hey.
Good evening. I appreciate those of you who decided to show up to this press conference. Hopefully we're going to discuss some problems and come up with some solutions, which I hope at the end of the day will make this to be a better league. So, jumping right in then to the content of what we were all called here today for, we will be discussing the new DFL policy on starting players who are on a bye week. As some of you may have realized, over the past couple weeks we've had an increasing problem with certain managers starting players who are on their bye weeks for their current teams. This has been a problem for a couple of reasons. First of all, it draws into question the commitment of certain members throughout the league. Members who up till this point have been very involved and very committed, and so it causes us to analyze whether or not these members are still involved and invested in what the DFL hopes to be. Secondly, the biggest problem that I feel anyone with any sort of fantasy football background will be able to recognize is the fact that when a team decides to start a player on a bye week, it causes a chain effect for everyone else in the league. Obviously, if one team is attempting to compete and trying to move up in the rankings, and they need another team to beat another team for them, this becomes a problem when other teams are starting players on bye weeks, because then other teams are getting unfair advantages, unfair wins, which tends to cause a problem for more managers than just the managers who are making the poor roster decisions. So I think this is really the problem that we have ran into, and hopefully we are going to discuss some solutions today which will hopefully benefit the league as a whole. Jumping right in, we want to again discuss some of the members of the league who have violated the trust of the other members and have made the mistake of starting a player who's on a bye week. This epidemic started in Week 8 with Mike Shanahanigans, managed by Carson Berger, starting C.J. Spiller, who was on a bye. It continued in Week 9 when Jory Pulver, this is the owner of Michael Swerven, started Frank Gore. The 49ers were on a bye that week. In Week 10, we saw quite possibly our most egregious offense when Cal Seiler, the owner of Fighting Sioux, started two players who were on a bye week, Jermichael Finley and Alfred Morris. Recently, again, we had Jory Pulver, again, Michael Swerven's manager, starting Jordy Nelson, who was on a bye week. That also took place in Week 10. So as you can see, this is not just an isolated incident. It is also not just a problem with one member or two members, but rather multiple members, and some members even committing the offense multiple times. So we want to now we'd like to now discuss our solutions. The board and I have decided that the following punishments will from now on be installed whenever a player is played, or started rather, on a team when they're on their bye week. For every player started on their bye week, that manager will move down one draft position in the next year's draft. So for instance, if this press conference had taken place 4 weeks ago, then Carson Berger would draft 1 pick later than what he was scheduled to draft. Jory Pulver would draft 2 picks later than what he was scheduled to draft. And Calvin Seiler would also draft 2 picks later than what he was scheduled to draft in the next year's draft. This hopefully will encourage not only members this year, but for years to come, to check their rosters, update their rosters, so that they continue to put together competitive teams and continue to participate in the DFL league. The final punishment, which I believe to be the harshest but the most necessary, is that if one player, or one manager rather, decides to start a player on their bye week 3 times in a season, and that's not the same player obviously, but if they start any combination of players 3 times who are on their bye week, after the 3rd time it will then be decided that that manager will not be invited back for the coming season in the DFL. Obviously we have a waiting list, people wanting to get in, there are bribes that are trying to be passed underneath the table, and just a whole assortment of combinations of competitive players trying to get in the league, which makes it necessary that if there are going to be players, or managers rather, in this league who don't want to update their rosters or contribute to the competitiveness of the DFL, then we will have to take somewhat harsh and very severe action and not extend an invitation to that manager for the following season. All these punishments obviously will not be implemented for any crimes committed this season so far, but rather from this point forward, this policy is now put into place. I appreciate all of you showing up. Are there any questions? You know, I gotta admit, obviously it is somewhat of a concern of mine that some managers will take this the wrong way and they will feel as if the league is shifted and the league has become too serious and too competitive. But I hope that this league is made up of managers similar to myself who believe that fantasy football is most enjoyable when it is achieved in a competitive atmosphere. And for those managers who wish to take offense to this press conference today, obviously they have the number of the commissioner's office, and they are more than able and more than welcome to call my office and please discuss these policies with me. Yeah. More questions? Sure. I have discussed this policy with other members in the league and have not received any negative feedback up till this point. Obviously, I have not had the chance to discuss this policy with all members, but I have addressed some of our more prominent members, some of our more established members of the league, and have just double checked with them to make sure that they don't think that it's too harsh or too severe. And like I said, so far I've received nothing but positive feedback. Again, the goal today is that all these managers in the league come together and have kind of a unified response towards the competitiveness of this league. So that is the situation as it stands right now. More questions? Okay. Well, sorry, one more back there. Okay, one question. Yes, of course. All members will be held accountable. There is no favoritism. And if I ever had to make the mistake of starting three players in their bye week in a season, then I would, in doing so, remove myself from the league and hand the commissioner reins over to the most recent champion of the league. And that would be how we would address that if it were to go about. But I assure you that my office and those in management for my team are going to attempt to do nothing but their best work over the next coming weeks and next coming years as this league continues to progress. No more? Well, again, I appreciate all of you guys coming to this press conference today. Again, please contact me, my office, by email, phone, or snail mail. My address will appear below the screen. Or not. It's really up to you guys to figure out how you want this to contribute from here. And really, I want you guys to know, above all, sorry, told myself I wouldn't do this. Above all else, above all else, I love you guys, and if you need anything from me, thank y'all. That happened. I couldn't believe it. I mean, who loses by .09 points? That's just it's a simple case of players not stepping up when they have to, and that's I'll have to address the locker room on that. But let's skip ahead now and analyze kind of the league's playoff picture as it would appear to look now. Obviously, last week with Hypercats beating Bros and Poroshenko's, that was kind of the big the big shakeup, because now Hypercats moves up into 4th place and seems to have a playoff seed somewhat locked, as they have some wiggle room now to work with. And Bros and Poroshenko's again kind of puts himself in the gutter, and he's got to work up from 10th place to try to grab that 6th seed. Interestingly enough, with Mike Shanahan's kind of decisively beating Raging Marmots, he throws himself now into the playoff conversation. Maybe not as a serious contender, but again, this is a team who has spent the entire season in the basement of the league, and now, right now, during the stretch, they're putting together some wins, and they're showing that not only are they a team capable of scoring points, they're also a team capable of getting some W's. Still, teams ranked 5 through 8 is still a huge just contention for that 6th spot, with the Brady Bunch and Long Hair Don't Care having the final 2 spots in the playoffs as of now, but still looking at Michael Swervin and Mind Crimes trying to make a push for that last spot, and again, not being able to completely count out teams like Fighting Sue, Bros of Poroshenko's, Mike Shanahan's, or even the Big Tebowski. And so it's just kind of unreal that this late in the playoffs, really no team is out of it completely, realistically. I think we can comfortably say that Wanted Dead or Alive, Dr. X's and O's, and Raging Marmots will definitely be in the postseason. Outside of that, it's nothing more than a huge question mark. So that's all for this week's DFL recap. I appreciate all of you guys stopping by, and we'll see you next week.